Happy Sunday, everyone. Hope you're keeping safe and well as per usual. Welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is just a little update. It's not really little, it's pretty huge, to be honest, but I thought I'd come live. I'm not going to stay on for long, but I just wanted to bring you the news that is coming out of West Ham this morning, coming into the early afternoon, and of course West Ham themselves now reporting on Füllkrug. Interestingly enough, some of the reports are very, very different to each other, so I'll get cracking with what we have learned so far. Now, West Ham themselves, in the last few minutes, have actually put out saying that West Ham can confirm that striker Füllkrug sustained a hamstring injury in Friday's FA Cup third-round tie against Aston Villa. The German striker will be sidelined for a number of weeks. Weeks can also determine the length of those weeks we're not too sure about. So that's the interesting part. Now, according to some reports out there, he could be sidelined for up to 3 months after picking up that hamstring injury, according to some reports out there. Now, he did have a scan, and he did injure the back of his thigh. And over the weekend, he did have an MRI scan, and the diagnosis revealed that there was a muscle tendon that was affected in his thigh. So that will be massively detrimental, not just for West Ham, but just for him, because he's obviously had such a difficult start and transition into his West Ham life at West Ham, hasn't he? Füllkrug, come with a very reputable background, but that's potentially now 2 large injuries. The first one obviously having that kind of Achilles issue, not necessarily rupturing his Achilles, but having an issue that could have led to that. So it depends on the level of the severity of the problem and the hamstring issue. It could, and the key word here is, it could sideline him for up to 3 months. Let's hope that he is a recoverer and he can recover quickly, but that could be the problem. So missing Füllkrug is going to be so detrimental to us, considering already we're missing Jared Bowen, Mickey Antonio, of course, now Füllkrug. That really literally leaves our only recognised striker as being Danny Ings. And if anything at all, we were already thinking we were needing a striker, then there's no more opportunity now that West Ham need to go out there and get that over the line. So a striker is becoming so prominent for West Ham. So it's disappointing. It's really disappointing, because I actually started to see, albeit that Füllkrug and Graham Potter's only been in charge not for a long time at West Ham, but I started to see, even in that 36 hours that he was in the role, Graham Potter, that how he was potentially going to utilise Füllkrug. Even we saw in more recent weeks, just got a couple of goals now, just slowly and surely kind of building himself up to the Premier League standard, and then suddenly, bang, you go out with another injury. So that's really disappointing for him and for us in terms of West Ham fans as well. Michael Blees says 6 to 12 weeks depending on the tear. See if any club will buy him from the club. That's what you get when you sign old men. And I mean, a lot of people are not happy about us signing a player at the wrong side of the 30s that we did. So put your comments in, let me know your thoughts on that. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be without Füllkrug, and it looks like unless we go into the market as soon as possible to get a player who's ready to rock and roll, it may try and fast forward things with some of the other players we're keen and interested in. You're hearing rumours that we are showing a keen interest in Marcus Rashford. Getting that deal done could be very, very tough, of course, because there's going to be many clubs around there. But of course, any club that is going to take him, especially on a loan, is looking at Manchester United to pay him most of his wages. So financially, it wouldn't be problematic for West Ham. But I think West Ham could be a good mix for a Marcus Rashford type player. But I'm not sure many of the fans in the chat would agree with me on that. Now, we're also hearing through the grapevine, obviously we know Summerville was brought off as a precaution. We don't know the full extent of this, but if he has picked up an injury, it would not be the greatest of starts for Graham Potter. But if anything, I think what we desperately need to do, when I think about that game against Aston Villa, really, in my opinion, they won that game on strength and depth, because I personally was quite impressed with our first half, and I thought to myself, my word, man, in 36 hours in charge, he's made a change in the first half, and it really looked quite dynamic in terms of what we were actually capable of doing, and kind of made me feel like maybe there's an exciting way forward moving forward. I'm not so sure if it's definitely going to happen, but if we were to lose Summerville and Fullkrug alongside Jared Bowen and Mickey Antonio, then it would be decimating for the rest of the season. And I feel like some of the fans already think that the season's done as it is, because obviously we've now out of the FA Cup. We're not in the League Cup. What are we fighting for? Don't really know. But we're in a transition, and that's what we need to do. And we need to get players fit. We not just on top of that, we need to make sure that we've got the right players in for their head coach, who can obviously pull out and get the best from the bunch of players he's got. Because I do think there's players there. I do think there's a squad there. I do think they're capable, but I think the strength and depth is going to be the biggest problem for us. So missing Nicholas Füllkrug, missing Mickey Antonio, missing Jared Bowen, and potentially missing Summerville. I don't think Summerville will be long term, but it looks like he may be missing for the next game. It means that, 12th of January, we need to be looking at bringing options into West Ham as soon as we possibly can. So fingers crossed we can. Mark says, afternoon, Anton, I think we need 2 strikers now. Yeah, but listen, the other problem with strikers is going to be is simply going to be down to every other club is looking for strikers and what strikers are available at the price that we're looking for. Please, no more foreign buys from slower leagues. And Chrissy, I suppose there's an element. I think what we're probably going to have to do is really look at the market in the Championship and see if there's players there that are capable of making the step up. Because look what happened when we brought Jared Bowen in, and there are other Jared Bowens out there as well. So let's see what we can do. Rashford will never happen. Sell the players to raise the funds. I'm not saying it will be bringing him in on a permanent deal. The money he's on is ridiculous. It's just a case of, can we convince him for a loan deal? Will it work? We've got already conversations opened up with Manchester United, so we'll have to see. As well, the best players in the Premier League are foreign, according to most Premier League fans. This league is the best. We'll just have to wait and see. But I think the Championship's going to be a good option. Dip down there, have a look and see. Listen, we're showing signs that we're interested in players coming from Ipswich. The forward there from Ipswich, but Ipswich ain't going to sell, and no one's going to sell their players now unless some silly money comes in, and West Ham ain't going to pay silly money. So we definitely need some to strengthen in January. But it's going to be, I think the Championship's going to be key for us, and maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It's a short video for you today. I know there's more news coming out of West Ham. If I get some time later on, I will come back to you and bring you that. But I just wanted to bring you the update. Huge injury blow for West Ham, and that is that Nicholas Füllkrug is expected to be out for up to 3 months. That 3 months can drop depending on his recovery and depends on his level of injury format as well. The severity of the tear, if there's a tear, if it's tendon, all that sort of stuff. So even though he's had the scan, West Ham themselves have announced that he is definitely going to be out. They've wrote several weeks. Weeks, again, can be determined on how people write it. Weeks can, obviously, you can have 52 weeks in a year. Let's just hope it's not that long. But we're expecting him to be missing for the best part of 3 months, which is not great. So we're going to have to rely heavily on the rest of the squad. In Summerville, we're still waiting for it. We don't think it's a long-term injury, but it's not the greatest. Anyway, listen, I need to head. Hopefully we'll be back later on to give you more updates and just keep the faith and give Graham Potter a bit of time. Come on, you Irons.